Bungie do stupid shit. They make decisions that don't really make any sense, overly complicated menus, stupid banners, ugly screens, slow apps, and they absolutely ignore the wealth of lore available. In this video, I'm going to try and lay out my 13 stupid things, mostly in-game, that can be changed to make life easier, better, faster, and more intuitive for us, the players. I'm Neph, an experienced user interface designer who really should be spending more time on paid jobs and less on Destiny 2. I'm going to start with stupid menus. In the last few seasons, we've gotten a rework of the quest screen. The number of bounties on the main quest overview screen has been reduced, and now there are main quest areas which are pretty big and honestly hard to ignore. The problem I have with this is when you don't have any primary quests left, this screen is empty and becomes a massive waste of screen real estate. In honesty, I'm not sure what prompted the design team to say, hey, this needs to change in the first place. Who was saying that this screen needed a complete overhaul? I'd say really there's higher priorities to tackle first, but here we are. If you wanted to make sure the player understood what were main quests, then just make them bigger, but don't take up the entire screen. And then in the odd 6 months where there aren't any campaigns or big quests available, you have a complete waste of a screen. The menus are my pet peeve in Destiny 2. Honestly, there are way too many fucking menus in this game. Plus, they're not even dynamic menus that serve information based on your previous selections. It's essentially a menu system from 2010. Click and reveal style menus. Yes, they are stupid friendly, but they also take up so much space. And there are so many variations of menu setups. We've overlaid menus on the destination screen, a complete separate main quest menu setup, the inventory setup, settings, the HUD, and the collection pages, which have pages upon pages of every armor, weapon, flare, or shader available to you in the game. And I'm not even talking about the menu systems in the companion app. Simplify the motherfucking menus. Like any information system, look at what element we don't click into that much, say maybe collections and clan, move it to a separate vendor in the tower, and maybe combine quests and journey. You don't need to show everything at all times. I can only imagine how overwhelming this is to new players to see pages and pages of options to deal with when they don't really even understand how supers work. Seriously, like, they must think they've been launched into a ball pit of options. It seems I always say the same thing, that there's like way too much clutter when it comes to menus, page layout, and options, and not enough focus on what the player's objective should be right there and then. Replayable seasonal activities in the Destiny timeline. Maybe this will be solved with Into the Light, but who knows what we will get as filler before the final shape drops on our lap. There's a timeline on the destination screen that was used as a history of the expansions and the attached seasons. It seems like a slam dunk to add at least the seasonal activity of each season to each of the seasons that were attached. So maybe we get to replay some of the better activities until the final shape. For example, we could drop into the menagerie activity of Season of Opulence, get to experience Expunge activity from Season of Splicer, or even the Wrathborn hunts again. Personally, I liked the Astral Alignment activity for Season of Lost. This could vary up the content available and give us something reprised to do while we wait for the final shape. I'm not saying to offer all the DLCs for free, God forbid that. But throwing in one of the activities might be a nice touch. The companion app is slow and not as stupid. The app is an absolute need to have as a player, and I do spend so much time pulling bounties and weapons from it. Since the game's vault has no search or categorization abilities, we need the app, but maybe can we at least get the iOS version to move a little faster, load a little faster? When waiting for the PvP lobbies to fill, you can be waiting just as long to pull down bounties from the app. Sometimes it's actually timed out and lobbies filled before the app properly loaded. I mean, come on. I've never been sure why the better search system is buried in the app and hasn't made its way to the vault. Now that the vault has become more accessible, make it more usable. Crazy ideas. The HUD is a clusterfuck. The heads-up display is to get a full rework in the final shape, and I, for one, am looking very much forward to the clusterfuck that currently exists as a gameplay screen being resolved. In the meantime, I already made a video where I took a shot at fixing the screen in the video here, where I separated the abilities, supers, and weapons to allow space to show buffs, debuffs separately, and clearly during gameplay for better build crafting. I've gotten some interesting responses from the player base, where some love it and some don't like the change from what they know, but I think that information structure and placement on an already busy screen needs a fix. And I do look forward to kind of seeing what Bungie come up with in June. Will they do something completely different and come up with a completely out-of-the-box solution that will astound me and keep everyone happy? I don't know, but look, we'll soon find out.
I feel like I'm losing.
Persistent banners. You know those banners that pop up after reset, or maybe there are new items in the Eververse that you can spend your sweet moolah on, and of course banners about ritual content changes. Why isn't there a message saying go to Helm to talk to Mara or wherever you need to go in banner form? Why is it buried in a pop-out modal window on the left-hand side of the screen that you have to activate? As a side note, if Destiny ever wanted to include a notification center style info screen, this particular place would be perfect. The private match screen is ugly. This right here is something that drives me absolutely apeshit. And to me, it's the Quasimodo of uber ugly screens. The private match screen. This absolute clusterfuck of elements went to the top of my list when my clan and I went to do some 3v3 private option gameplay in PvP. Priority-wise, it really isn't anyone's number one issue with the game, but for me, it lowers the quality of the game, since design-wise Destiny is usually very well put together and executed. Now, not everyone might agree that this is an abomination of a screen and it should have been launched out the window of the great train ride that is Destiny 2. But from a design and user interface perspective, it's just a bad screen. Where is everyone in the universe? We are guardians of humanity and the solar system, but where the fuck is everyone in this solar system? I think Lightfall really shone a light onto something that was glaringly obvious to anyone playing the game, but never really talked about that much. Destiny is empty. Who the fuck are we defending? All the open world environments are empty, except for varying levels of ads. After 10 years and billions in assets, we still can't have a system that populates the environment. I mean, take the initiative and upgrade what needs to be upgraded, or decrease the available worlds to compensate, but this same shit is tiresome. Populate the open world and maybe give them small narratives. This isn't a mental request. Prioritize clan activities. Another stupidly abandoned subject is clans. It baffles me. Why, on a list of priorities for the Bungie management team, commendations were a feature set that was higher than giving the clans and players in them a more cohesive experience? Clans are the bread and butter of this game, and they have been abandoned like a baby left on the steps of a goddamn church. It's so hard to keep clans together anyway when there are these content droughts and the near constant recommendations to go take a break from Destiny, take a break from Destiny. When people just don't come back, Discords are toxic wastelands and the clan is absolutely decimated. Having to constantly replenish clans is an absolute pain in the ass for small clans like myself. Create a lore vendor. I harp on about this and the constant lack of accessible lore in the game, and I find it numbingly stupid that this wealth of content is practically ignored. I've suggested many times that Bungie could take all the history, backstory, grimoire cards, mythology that has been built up over a decade and make it available to new and seasoned players, whether that be my suggestion of a pausable active lore screen in the menu, which I took from Final Fantasy 16, I think, which I've left the link to the video in top right hand corner, or even add a vendor to the tower that highlights lore from different characters or seasons. It doesn't matter how this manifests, but just introduce something for players to experience the wealth of lore. I mean, it would be fantastic and welcomed from me, at least. If you're going to keep PvP integrated in the story and narrative, I've never quite got, and stay with me on this as I feel stupid, why there are two completely separate games in one Destiny 2. You have the story, narrative, DLC side, where all the money, time, and effort goes, and then there's the weaker, more feebled brother PvP, where it seems like it's a chore to keep it going and resourced well. Surely there must be some way to integrate PvP into the narrative of the entire game. I always found it very weird that they behave so separately and still exist in the same universe.
This universe is made of light and darkness. These ancient forces flow through all matter and energy in our solar system and beyond.
So nothing is explained. It's not a secret that the onboarding process for new players is a mess. There's a procession of missions that you go on with Shohan as an introduction to the game, and the environments and the supers. But as for how armor works, supers work, weapons work, you're left to your own devices to guess how all this functions and interacts with each other. In previous videos, I've come up with an answer to this by using the Ghost as a mentor who leads you through the game and explains simple mechanics and helps you orient yourself when you need to find something on a map, or just gives you hints and lore insights to characters and worlds in the context of 10 years of the game. I also use Ghost to offer a hint system for new players who want to try raids and dungeons for the first time. This got mixed reactions from players saying it was making the game too easy for players, which in honesty is bullshit. Grandmaster's raids and most dungeons are challenging, and without someone explaining the mechanics to you, you'll not find a solution quickly. There are a few screens where we sit there waiting for a lobby to fill, or when we're on a filler travel screen to a destination for PvP content. These styles of screens are really well utilized in other games to give further topics or maybe some insight into styles of weapons and how you can use them in gameplay. You literally have the player sitting there waiting for content or players to join the lobby. So turn this into a place where you can maybe give more insight than you currently do. I know there are some information on travel screens now, but pointing towards Bungie.net isn't quite what I had in mind.
Well, it kills me to say it, but I would be really impressed.
Impressing you, Cade, is the easiest thing I'll do all day.
Let's get serious, people.
Experience moments of Destiny history. It's so stupid that we don't have missions where we experience the moments in Destiny's history we would love to explore. If we could take the guise of Dark Guardian Hunter Shin Malphur as he chased down Guardians experimenting with darkness to travel to the forbidden space station of Cocytus that has portals to other universes that will drive you mad if you enter, even experiencing the original collapse and what the main NPCs were doing at that time, or a mission to track down the Aphelion and understand their light suppressing abilities. There is so much to unlock and explore. There could be some amazing strikes held within the wealth of the histories of Destiny 2 franchise. As I said, it's very possible that the new Into the Light event that's coming up before the final shape could have amazing events throughout the history of Destiny 2 up until now. But personally, I feel it's going to be something very different. We hear from Bungie all the time that it takes up so much time to make custom spaces, weapons, maps, and create an experience that's unique and rewarding. It looks like all the focus is on getting to the final shape to be the pinnacle final expansion of the Light and Dark saga. So, resource and time for anything else is going to be pretty scarce on the ground. It feels to me that we will be sent down memory lane with reprised raids, dungeons, and returning worlds that will be open for us to explore again. Doing that would be so much less work than coming up with new assets from scratch, only based on my experience of asset creation and implementation with development. Solely in my opinion, Destiny still offers a paradox of immense potential, shadowed by frustrating shortcomings. My journey through Destiny 2 has been both exhilarating and at times exasperating, owing to decisions that seem to overlook the fundamental aspects of user experience and game design. The issues I've encountered, ranging from convoluted menus and unsightly private match screens to the slow companion app and neglect ignore, are not mere nitpicks but significant barriers that detract from game's overall enjoyment. As someone who spends way too much time navigating these interfaces, the inefficiencies and aesthetic shortcomings become not just annoying, but emblematic of a larger issue, a disconnect from the game design and the player's experience. All these points and recommendations extend beyond mere technical issues to embrace like a vision of a more vibrant and cohesive Destiny 2 game universe by populating the game world more richly, enhancing clan activities, weaving PvP more integrally into the narrative. Destiny 2 could offer a more immersive, engaging experience. This all comes from a place of love for Destiny and a belief that there's still life in the old gal yet. It's a personal perspective that sees beyond the current limitations to envision a game that is not only more accessible and enjoyable, but also more alive and resonant with a community that angrily loves it. By engaging with and listening to our feedback, the players, Bungie has the opportunity to transform Destiny in ways that could exceed even our own hopeful expectations. It's a vision for a game that truly lives up to its own destiny. And as someone deeply invested in this world, I am both hopeful and eager to see that vision realized. I'm Neph, and that was my 13 stupid things in Destiny 2. Honestly, I would love to hear what you think of my suggested changes that I've come up with. What do you think should be added, changed, or are there other stupid things in the game that I've left out? I probably have. I mean, in fairness, I definitely have. Leave your opinion in the comment section below, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, now's the time to do it, since you're already here at the end of the video. And drop a like so others can see this kind of content too. See you in the next one.